But I had to watch it again. I was like, you know what? This is a good show. It was a good show. It wasn't the best show, but it was a good show.
I think it was. I think it's. I've never seen anything as good as that in a long time.
Bruno Mars, 2014.
Bruno Mars is probably the one of the pinnacle.
So them two are up there then, up there on levels there.
Yeah, Bruno Mars because that was together.
Nah, Bruno Mars and Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was wicked.
So Bruno Mars, then Dr Dre.
Watch it.
Bruno Mars, Dr Dre, then whoever after that, basically.
There have been some stinkers though. I think Weekend wasn't very good.
Oh, the one last year.
Yeah.
I just like the meme clip of him like staggering around.
But who do you want next year? Who could top Dr Dre? And
I don't think it's a case of that. I think it's because you know what it is. It was just literally halftime show literally defy logic sometimes.
Yeah.
I just feel even with the one we had, as wicked as it was, there was another gear.
But you know what it is? I think what made this halftime show special is the fact that it felt like it was made for millennials.
Yes.
Like it was like the perfect nostalgia value. It wasn't going to cater to Gen Z. It was like, this is for you guys.
This is for us.
This is your Super Bowl halftime show. And it worked. And then Gen Z can get into it too because this is actually kind of hard. This is not like
this is who they are.
But I think them doing this, they have to do a massive tour now. The fans want more in it. They have to do a tour now because
50 Cent has a tour coming to London soon.
Yeah. No, but I mean they have to. And it's in Wembley as well, Wembley Arena. I don't know
it was. You know what? Watch it back. It was a good show. It was a good show. Yeah. It just felt more like it was good for a concert.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of One Kick from Glory. This is obviously Valentine's week, and for everyone that had a lot of fun celebrating, congratulations, well done. Love is everywhere. And then man there. As usual, I'm joined by Craig on my left.
Yeah.
Matthew across further. Got Malachi behind the cameras as always, doing his thing. Yeah, shout out to all the lovers in the building, all the lovers listening. You know, it's a beautiful time of year. All good. You are all winners. You're all doing really well. Can't say the same for Tottenham Hotspur. They were always losing. Their manager has given another interview where he's expressed his disillusionment and disappointment with the state of play at Tottenham. I'm going to start with you, Matthew, on this one. Are you surprised?
I am, I thought he'd get like a more experienced manager, would get a better tune out of him after being with Nuno. And I was just thinking, he's still a good manager, and regardless of how much we laugh at Tottenham, they do have good players. So it's really surprising to see that they can't seem to string, like, they've lost so many games of late because there was that gap in between for the Premier League, like 2 weeks of internationals and stuff. I mean, have they actually won a game in like the past, apart from the FA Cup? I think they've lost pretty much all of their games. Chelsea, Wolves, Southampton, and who was the last one they had? I think that was it.
Wolves was the last game.
And they got Wolves. And they got Man City next. Away.
Easy 3 points for City.
You take what you want from that. But I am surprised. I mean, I almost feel bad for him because it's just, how has it come to this for a manager who's like, certainly a top 10 manager in the world, for his time. Again, I said before, his times at Juve, Chelsea, and most recently Inter Milan. How has this come to this like a complete and utter slump down like a summit, like just complete crumble down? I don't know what he did transfers in January. He did do some transfers, loans and purchases and whatever. So,
but they haven't hit the ground running.
They haven't hit the ground. I think when you it's always difficult when you come in from, and they came from like the Italian leagues as well. It's always very difficult to come through halfway through a season where Tottenham need so much. I mean, they're only really relying on the FA Cup. The league is top four even he says so himself, it's gone. So it's very hard to have players who come in who probably don't know understand the expectation that they have for the rest of the season to come in and do a massive job, because it is a massive job. Because Tottenham have those aspirations for Europe with that big toilet bowl they have. They want to start filling it with stuff, and they're not. The product doesn't match the outside. It's all function, no form, or maybe the other way around. So he's got a job in his hands. I'm surprised, and like I said, I do feel a bit bad for him. Because it's like he don't deserve it. Plus, we know the whole mess of Harry Kane coming up at the end of the season. Is he going to be there still? What's he going to have to play with?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate the situation they're facing. I say unfortunate, it isn't for me.
It's not.
But you never want to be in a situation as a manager where, one, you don't get the players you need or want, and two, you're not getting them to perform the way you want. I guess a big side of that is looking at the key players they've got now, you know, with Harry Kane and with Son Heung-min. For you, Craig, do you feel like Tottenham are now facing a serious battle to keep them?
100%. I feel like I've always said that I think Son's a better player than Kane. All round, is a better player than Kane. I think Kane's just mainly just a goal scorer. I think Son does more for the team, works more harder for the team. And when the chips are down, Son puts more effort in. And I think if you need, like, and I feel personally that if Tottenham don't get top 4 or even get Europe this season, the way they're going right now, they might not even get Europe at all next season. I think Son might consider his future because he's almost 30 and he wants to win trophies. He's been at Tottenham for a long time and hasn't won anything. So he'd been to a couple of League Cup finals, lost a Champions League final, FA Cup semi-final. So is he going to want to stay or is he going to want to win trophies? If Man City put a bid in for Son in the summer and said, Son, we want you to come to City, I think he should take it. I honestly think so. They need a striker. He would do a good.
I don't think they need a striker. I think they could do with one.
I think he would do a good job at City if City wanted to buy him. Even Liverpool.
I could see him going abroad.
Or even abroad, but where abroad would he go there? Because all the big teams have got maybe Bayern,
Barcelona,
or even maybe Dortmund. Because Dortmund, if Haaland goes in the summer, he could replace Haaland, and if they get Champions League football, Dortmund, then he could be a good replacement.
He goes to Italy, Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Or
that'd be wicked.
Juventus.
Nah, they got Vlahovic. They're good.
The Inter, AC Milan maybe if they sell one or two of their players.
Some more Premier League stars.
I feel that Son needs to be winning trophies. He's a good player. He should be winning trophies.
Well, he won't win it there. That's the reality.
No,
so if that becomes a bigger ambition for him, then he's going to need to make a move somewhere. And I guess the question is where and when. But you know, I threw on the bounce now of Tottenham. It's a bit like
worrying.
It's funny, really.
It's funny and it's worrying.
Pre-season talk and look, they can't even get a tune out of themselves. I think it's just interesting to see what comes of all the situation. I feel like with Antonio Conte, his disappointment, like on the one hand, it might motivate the players to step up to the standards that he has. But at the same time, if your manager is constantly saying that I'm disappointed and they're not living up to what I expect, there comes a point when you're like, okay, well, maybe we just can't deliver what he wants. And then you start to kind of drop off in terms of your performances. So he's got to be careful with how he gets that balance right with how he motivates them. But we'll see. I mean, going from one extreme to the next, we've got Newcastle, who again, another game, another win, another Kieran Trippier special. They are really having a good time with it.
Yeah.
I guess for you, Matthew, looking at this whole situation and how things are playing out, like, because I know we said previously, like, Newcastle staying up, it's going to be a challenge anyway. But if they do manage to stay up, it's going to be exciting to see what they do. Do you now kind of take a step back and think, okay, with the momentum they're building, they're going to do it. And now thinking ahead to next season, this could be an interesting situation for all of us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's looking much so now because they've won the last, I think, 2 or 3, and they got a really good win against Gerrard's Villa as well. So that's very impressive. I've always said that if they do stay up, and depending on, it doesn't matter where they finish, they're going to be a big problem for the next season. Not just for the certain clubs around them, in their normal kind of bubble around them, like the bottom half of the table. I'm talking everybody.
Yeah.
I'm literally talking everyone because if I were Newcastle right now, I think we said this before, they'll be preparing potentially for next season. So when that last game goes, their checkbook can open in May, some moving, some shaking, some leaving, some coming in. The tune they're getting out now, and even the players that they already have, so the ones they bought and the good players that they want to keep, they're looking to build some kind of dynasty. And this is going to be more. This will be a bigger transition than when Man City did it, and probably as big as when Chelsea did it. Because Newcastle, for a long time, they've been there, that the nearly club, and over time it kind of declined. But now this could be the start of the ascension, so to speak. This could be the time where we see what the Newcastle that's been lost for a very long time, where they might not necessarily been, even if they're not massively, not be competing for leagues for the next 5, maybe even 10 years, but they're just a club to watch. That's what they were. They were a club to watch. They had their spot on the table. They if you were, trophy wise, okay, fine, they might be lacking, but when it comes to football, atmosphere, passion, drive, and just that kind of reputation of playing really exciting stuff. So with some, over history and over time, some really exciting players like your Ginolas, your Shearers, what was it?
That's Ferdinand.
Ferdinand's,
Andy Cole.
Alberto Solano's, players you just want to kind of see because you know that they're going to go in and they're going to dig. So
And Ribeiro as well, Lauren Ribeiro.
So this could be a return to, again, it's not going to happen straight away, but a good cup run here, to a quarter, maybe even the semi-final, a proper surge up for the league. I said it once, I said it before, we're going to have a big problem on our hands.
I guess looking ahead to their next 3 games, they've got West Ham away, Brentford away, and then Brighton at home. I guess for you, Craig, how many points do you see them getting from those 3 games?
Who they got next?
West Ham next, then Brentford, and then Brighton at home.
I think they'll draw on Saturday or Sunday when they're playing.
Saturday.
And I think they'll get 7 points.
7 points?
7 points, yeah.
So beat Brentford, beat Brighton, and then draw against West Ham.
I think so. West Ham are doing quite well, but Trippier's injured now, so that's why I said they'll only get a point against West Ham. West Ham are on a good roll at the moment. So that's why I said that.
And what would you say along those lines then, Matthew, with those 3 games coming up?
The West Ham next, right?
Yeah.
Home or away?
Away.
I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4. As good as Newcastle are going, we also know that West Ham, they've got ambitions of their own. Plus, but then again, they are playing today. And then, did you say Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Oh no, I don't think they are playing today, then, are they? No, they can't be playing today. Next week. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 4. I don't think West Ham will be a big ask. I think they'll get something against Brentford. I think Brighton could be a draw. I think Brighton could be a draw.
I think Dan Burn going back to his former club, he might want to prove a point.
Yeah.
So he might play well and score a goal. You never know.
I think 4 is still, because West Ham are tricky. Brentford could still, Brentford are in danger of limbo, of falling into that kind of murky area of the bottom 3. Brighton plays some good stuff. I think the trouble with Brighton is they play good stuff. They'll just don't get the result they always deserve.
They haven't got a clinical goal scorer in their team.
They're not massively clinical. So I think 4 is not awful. It's not awful. So yeah, I'll say 4 points.
I think that's a good number for them to build on. That would keep them out of the bottom 3. Right now, they're out of the bottom 3. They've got a game in hand. They're on 21 points. Norwich on 17, Watford and Burnley on 15 and 14 respectively. Burnley might surprise us, might not. We'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, I think it's just remarkable the different atmosphere around St James's Park. I think first of all, because a lot of people were very skeptical about Eddie Howe coming in. Was he the right appointment to make? Some people would have felt like they should have gone for a bigger name. There was always talk about Frank Lampard this, Frank Lampard that, and other big names were touted. But he was the man that they felt was best placed to keep them up and best placed for this phase of the project. And so far, that decision has been proved justified. And you could argue that maybe he might turn around and say, actually, I want to be here for the next 5 years and help move this project on, not just keep us up, but build into something. Because we've always, looking at Eddie Howe's career, you've always felt like he's never been given a fair crack at a bigger club. He's always had this weird kind of negative English tax, which managers have, where you don't always get the top jobs, even though the football at Bournemouth he played was quite good in the beginning when he first took them up, when he first took over. It was really expansive, very exciting. He always had a consistent philosophy, not too dissimilar to Bielsa in terms of that footballing philosophy in that we play our football regardless of who we play. Doesn't always work out like Bielsa, but at least he had his way of playing. Obviously, towards the end of his time at Bournemouth, it kind of stopped working, wasn't as effective. I think a lot of the signings they made weren't the right fit. They had a lot of potential players to develop, and they just didn't click at the same time, so they really didn't help him out. But this would be a good opportunity for him, especially with Newcastle, to prove that I actually can be that great manager.
I personally thought he could do it because I feel that he's a very good manager. I thought that when he was at Bournemouth, as you said, that he did well. How long was Bournemouth in the Premier League for a long time?
He's there for he saw him. He got them there promoted, and I think he was also much there when they were relegated.
When they're in the Premier League for like 5 years now.
About good 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years,
and with not a lot of, and like no real money. They didn't get that much of a backing, and they, like I said,
and he had a team with like championship players, and they just had the confidence, and he bought a few experienced players here and there. And they had a Stanislas who was a champ. Well, he started in the Premier League with West Ham, then he went down the divisions.
Didn't they have like? Didn't they?
Yeah, Joshua King.
Josh King. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a
Wilshere.
five-year Prem run.
Yeah.
2015-16 was their first season. And they got relegated 2019-20.
And they had Callum Wilson. They had Fraser. They had that guy Nathan Ake at one stage. So they had good players.
They've had some good players.
Cameron Winks was there as well. And a Phobe as well. All them players were at Bournemouth at one stage or one.
So with backing, if you give him backing,
yeah,
imagine what you mean.
He'll take Newcastle to the next level. Just have faith in him. Like he'll keep Newcastle up, and the next season they'll just go for winning the league.
And he's still young. He's still young. He can, like I say, he's only really he can only really get better.
That's true. And going from one young manager who is looking to kind of keep pushing on and do great things to another young manager who's back in the hot seat, back in the job. Super Frank at Everton. Brought over Dele Alli, brought in Donny van der Beek from Manchester United. Nice little win to start off his tenure. I will start with you, Matthew. Frank Lampard. How well do you think he's going to do at Everton? I know it's very early to say, and obviously when he was your manager, you had some good periods and you had some disappointing periods when it came to an end. But looking at the whole, first and foremost, do you feel like that was the right appointment for them to make? And do you think he'll do really well there?
It was one I didn't really see coming. I thought he'd go for something like a Palace or maybe even like a Watford with like a smaller club to kind of learn that trade and work with some like younger players who might sing his philosophy like no one's ever sung. So I was surprised with Everton because Everton's another big job. Everton are a big club after all, in terms of, with their history and the whole Merseyside thing got with Liverpool. So I was surprised when he got it, but I thought, then again, I was also surprised when he got the Chelsea job. I was happy for him. I really wanted to work for him. Unfortunately, towards the end, it didn't. But, I mean, he will keep them up. He will keep them up. But the thing is, when he was at Chelsea, is that what a lot of people don't seem to remember is that for the very first time he was started there, when we had no money, no Hazard, no transfers, no nothing, he actually did have a really good system with the players that he had. And I think it's like he's kind of implemented it with Everton right now. If you talk to a lot of Everton fans, they will say they were dying for a more expressive kind of football. And it's that, if you look at it, I watched the highlights of the match of the day, I think it was against Leeds.
Yeah,
or was against Brentford, and now they have it because there's no way with that team they should be where they are with likes of Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Yerry Mina, the Townsend. Who else have got? What's the other guy, brother? Damari Gray, and England the international goalkeeper, Pickford. There's no way they should be anywhere near relegation. They should be 8th, 9th, 7th minimum. They're not going to get that there now, but I think he can take them to somewhere like mid-table. It kind of depends on how the signings do, the kind of like signings that they do for him and how well they listen to him, because some of the players will be around. One thing he has done well is that he's kept the backroom staff the same. Yeah, with the likes of Duncan Ferguson. That's good. So he hasn't completely lost his mind. I'll be honest, I don't think Duncan Ferguson can get fired anyway. Even if he tried to, be like, I'm not going anywhere. What do you mean? I'm at the club. This is my club. You've joined my club. That is true. You'll leave before I do. Oh, hell yeah. Get me out of here. That is 100% true. But I think he'll do good. Just don't beat us when we play you at Goodison. Just come on, hold a little favour. Come on, man. Hold a little favour. Top scorer and all that. Come on now. I could see him being there for, potentially another season, but the results have got to go his way. The results have got to go his way. They'll stay up. I mean, Everton not being in the Premier League is mad, but yeah, I'm happy for him though. It's definitely going to be tight at the bottom because they're on 22 points. So, like anything, because I really don't, and they've got a few games in hand. I don't think anything's really closed off at the moment. I feel like Burnley are probably 3 defeats away from maybe we can say that's their journey run. But you say that, but they've got 4 games in hand. So anything can happen. Like that's a 12-point swing. Anything can happen. For Everton, they're on 22. They've got 3 games in hand. They've got Southampton at the weekend away. That's a massive game. Big game. You'd hope that, this kind of goodwill will flow. For you, Craig, looking at Lampard, and I know that when he was at Chelsea, a lot of the reasons why things kind of fell apart was because of managing the older players, dealing with the egos, dealing with the dressing room politics and stuff. It feels like he seems to have learnt a much, at least from the early show, he's learnt a much better lesson now. I mean, obviously he brought on Rondon off the bench the other day for the game against Leeds. He brought him off the bench. He almost scored a great goal. It's a brilliant save
to stop him scoring a good goal from a nice little crossing. But do you feel like it's the man management that ultimately is going to determine how successful he is this time around?
I feel he's got the right players, hungry, English, and mix of international players in the team. Like Donny van de Beek, very good player.
Point to prove.
He's one of the best. I think he's one of the best young players in Ajax midfield when they played Tottenham a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League semi-final. I just thought it didn't work out for him in Man United, but I feel he's the right positive player leading that team. But he was man of the match the other day. So Dele Alli, he needs a manager like Lampard. Both of them are goal scoring midfielders. Both of them like to score goals and like to get assists. And I feel that with Lampard being his manager, he'll get Dele Alli firing again. He'll be back in the England squad sooner or later.
How old is he again?
He's only at 25, 26.
He's not.
He's still young. He's very young.
He's got opportunity.
He's very young, so
But it's going to be tough for him.
I feel like Lampard can revive his career. I feel like maybe they had a similar path in their career as well, because I feel like when Lampard was at West Ham before he came to Chelsea, obviously Lampard and his uncle was the Harry Redknapp was his uncle, and his dad was the manager in the club.
Senior,
was managing the club. And obviously a lot of people didn't like the fact that Lampard was getting special treatment over other players.
Yeah,
You know how it is.
But he proved his point.
But he was a good player, and he reached a stage in his career where he had to leave West Ham to go to Chelsea. And Chelsea, where his game, Ranieri got him, and his game went to the next level. Then Mourinho got him, and his game went to a higher level.
Yeah.
The other managers after Mourinho got him to the top class level.
And
he finished third he finished third in the Balon d'Or a couple of years ago when he was at Chelsea.
He was a top goal scorer for year in, year out.
Every season
for a
he would score.
midfielder,
Yeah.
that's mad.
So I feel like Lampard can get the best out of Dele Alli, and he'll get Dele Alli scoring goals again. So I feel like Lampard will do a good job at Everton. I think once he gets the players that he wants, but there's some players in the squad that won't be there next season. If they stay up, he'll get rid of the players that he doesn't want. It's a recycle. He will not keep the same players. Like he want his own players.
Get some youth.
He'll get some young, hungry players that he wants.
Yeah.
And the ones the veterans. They have got a lot of veterans in their squad. So like players like maybe Andre Gomez and all that, players like that might not be there next season. Maybe not. He might say to them, you know what, thank you. I want to build my team.
Bad injury as well.
Yeah.
But I think like ultimately with Everton, they need to make sure that whatever signings they make, it's almost made above the manager and for the good of the football team. Like
Definitely.
I think one of the mistakes they've made over the years is they always sign players for the coach they have, and then when they move the coach on, you're stuck with a bunch of players you don't want to use.
Yeah.
So I think the key and the most important thing they got to do is make sure that they have a plan in place for Lampard, and then for post Lampard, whoever we bring in has to fit a philosophy of what we want to do as a club, because otherwise you're going to get stuck. And then ultimately they will end up being like the next team I'm going to refer to, which of course is Manchester United. Got a nice little win, 2-0 win at home. Ronaldo and Bruno finding their goal-scoring boots again. But ultimately, they're a club in disarray. Obviously, they've got a situation with that striker who shall not be named, that Wasteman, who's now no longer, well, he's not available at the minute.
No, we haven't been mentioned.
Legal problems and all that.
Yeah.
And he can't keep his hands to himself. Other things. But so they're in a situation where it's unfortunate because Cristiano Ronaldo, it's just not worked. It's just not worked in any way, shape, or form. They were actually doing really well at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
they had a nice thing going. They had a great, they were scoring nice goals. They had a player that was performing really well. Obviously, he's done out here.
It went wrong.
He's done out here. But like they had something building, and then all of a sudden they brought in Ronaldo, and it's just like it's become the Ronaldo show, but the horror show and not the joy. Like we would have hoped Ronaldo would have come back and not even turn back the clock, just give that feeling of banging in goals and whatever. But it just hasn't happened. And so ultimately now, looking for them going forward, they need to think of a serious plan for the future, and they need to stop doing short-term fixes.
Yeah.
Because they've made a lot of signings, very ill-advised signings, like the fridge. Don't know why they signed the fridge for all that money. He has the turning circle of a Boeing 784 of a Boeing plane. Like genuinely, just gets twisted up every week. Man gets twisted up so badly, you think he's in the rave.
Oh, I saw that. Oh
It's
my
embarrassing.
God. That was not
Like,
good.
he's always he's the Rocky dip. Everybody did the Rocky dip. He's not playing football. He's just dancing on the pitch. But for you, like Matthew, looking at the work that needs to be done at Manchester United and looking at, of course, their expectations for this year. We know Ralph was a short-term deal anyway, so it's not really on him to kind of get them firing. Maybe it was, or maybe we kind of oversold what he would do. But how do you see things playing out for them now? Because they still have Champions League football this season. They still have that trophy to go for. What do you think is going to be the likely outcome for them?
I don't think they'll get top four. I don't think they're getting top four. I think West Ham are more, not that it's got anything to do with football, but they're more deserving of it. And I think with you guys, with Arsenal, with the only thing we're going with the league, and he did beat Wolves the other day, I think it's still potentially the games we've had has just proven how open up for grabs it is, because Tottenham have fallen off. Man United only just won the other day. I think it's personally could be between you and West Ham. Champions League, you got a nagging feeling when you think they're just going to Man United their way out of it and just get a little cheeky, funny win against Atletico and just somehow get through. I can see them doing it, but that's as far as it's going to get. They'll have a feel good moment for like a brief moment and then sink back to reality all over again. Because who's to say that it's all going to go right after this weekend? Because they've got Leeds coming up, and well, let's not predict with Leeds because we just don't know. No one knows. You can't predict with Leeds. You can predict the weather. You can't predict with Leeds, honestly. There's going to be more. They're going to rely on certain players like De Gea. They're going to rely massively on him with those saves. He's going to roll back the clock. I don't think Ronaldo's going to get any better. I think this is that's it. But going back to what we said before with the whole back in kind of like dressing room thing where with certain players and then like come in, just upset the uppercut. Like you said, they were starting off quite well. They were actually starting off really, really well. I think bringing him in was literally a thing so Man City could not have him. That's literally it. We did it so you can't have him. And again, for the first few times, fine, but it hasn't worked. Even when you had scored, it's not because you were good, it's because he scored. For the rest of the game, you were really, really poor. And then there's a captaincy thing, like giving Fridge Slabbed the captaincy. What's going on? He shouldn't be the captain. I mean, I don't rate him massively, but McTominay would make a better captain. De Gea would make a better captain. Someone who's kind of been... even Fernandes would make a better captain. He was captain at Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah.
Why not even, give it to him? I know his form is dipped, but still, he's a very kind of passionate and vocal guy if you really, really watch him. He's kind of like... has that kind of leadership, commanding thing about him. They're going to get one brief moment of a feel-good moment, like they did against Brighton, like they did, both day, two of their star players, but that's as good as it's going to get. The Champions League run is good. They'll Man United their way. They'll float their way past with some freaky Man United style victory, but they're not going to get any further than that. I think, but this could be the wake-up call they need. Ralph is not going to take this job. He's not taking this job.
I don't think it's available to him anyway. And I think the big talk this week has been about, obviously, them trying to do the charm offensive now on Ten Hag. They've tried multiple times to get him. He was very clear when Ole was fired that he would not leave mid-season. Obviously, at Ajax, they're doing really, really well in the Champions League.
Got a good thing going.
Want to see if they can bring that home. They came close a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, they got knocked out by Tottenham. But he might feel like now he has the pieces to take them over the line. So for you, Craig, first off, I guess, how do you see the season playing out for Man United? Where do you see them finishing? And then secondly, do you think that Ten Hag is the big play that they're going for, and what impact would he have there?
I personally feel that Man United have spent so much money on players compared to all the Premier League clubs. They spent £900 million on players. I read it the other day. Almost at $1 billion on players. And some of the players they bought are average players, like Maguire. Sorry, but...
Don't say sorry, he is.
He's bang average.
The amount of money he paid for him.
No fridge.
Waste of money. And also they bought big money signed, hasn't worked out. They bought Memphis Depay a couple of years ago.
That flopped hard.
Ever since he left United, he's done very well.
Even Martial, really
Martial's
truly.
a big flop as well.
Even Martial.
The amount of money they spent for him, he didn't really deliver what he's supposed to deliver. His potential, he didn't deliver his potential.
Let's keep going. Di Maria.
Di Maria.
Bloody
Season wonder.
man.
Out. Up through the door. Who else did they buy?
Fred.
Who else did they buy?
I want to say Sancho, but I'm gonna give him a
I think
pass.
Sancho's doing
I'm
well.
gonna give him a pass for this season.
Yeah.
But the knives are sharp, and I'm ready for next year.
The only one that did well and that was on a free transfer was Zlatan. He was on a free transfer. He did well for United. He won them trophies. Pogba. As much as I love him as a player, he's flattered to deceive at United.
No, but the Pogba.
It's not the Pogba from France.
It's not the Pogba from Juve.
Or Juve.
Still one of their best players, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can argue he is their best player.
But to be honest,
he'll go.
To be fair, let me just say that he has never played in a good midfield. The midfield that United had have not been good for him to play with. Players like Matic, not a good midfield.
Stiff Matic. Thanks for taking
Well,
off.
Matic just passed it now, but he's probably one of the best partners he's had. I think under Ralph, Pogba and Fred. No, I think Fred and Pogba could be interesting. I don't know if they played together yet.
Because Fred was doing bits. Was it from Shakhtar, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and he was doing bits at Shakhtar.
And then when Ralph first came in, I think Fred looked a lot more expansive.
Yeah.
Fred and Matic as a pairing looked quite good. So that could be interesting to try.
And who else? Eric Bailly. He's a good player, but he's an injury prone a lot. Who else? Wan-Bissaka hasn't worked out for him.
Wan-Bissaka hasn't worked out
I
at all.
personally thought that when he came to United, his game would go to the next level.
No.
Hasn't done.
He's not even part of the England. He's not even in England's, like, the thought of him going to England is not even mentioned.
He hasn't worked out. Who else did they bought?
But let's move on from players they've bought. I think one player that I really feel very sad about is Marcus Rashford, because his development has just
It's
downhill.
It's started.
Because I personally feel the reason why he's not playing under a good manager. He doesn't had a good manager. Like when Van Gaal gave him the opportunity and he came on against was it Midtjylland in the Europa League?
Midtjylland, yeah.
And he scored them 2 goals. Then the weekend after, that same week, he scored against Arsenal in that 3-2 win for United. I thought this guy looks amazing as a striker. He was playing up front that time. And over the last he got into England squad. He got into Euros that season. Off of that good end of the season. And then after that, I think I don't know, his form has just dipped. As a player, his performance levels has dipped.
He's taken a few hits, like lately.
He's taken a lot of injuries.
He's in injuries, like game times and really
and confidence. I think confidence.
He's been played out of position.
Yeah,
what happened with the Euros? I think he's taken some, and the whole thing he's doing, feeding the nation's children. He's taken his shoulders must be so heavy. The poor guy. I mean, he's only 25, 24, 25.
He's still young.
He's that old.
He's still young.
He's young.
He's still a kid. He's still a kid in a way.
I mean, he's not that much younger than Sterling.
Okay, he's 24.
He's 24.
He's 24. He's a boy.
And I feel that with Rashford, I feel if United can get a good manager in the summer and then put an arm around, I'd love to see him play through the middle again.
He can.
I feel like if he has a better coach and get him because he can finish. Rashford can finish.
He can.
He can finish. He got pace. He can finish. But
long distance.
I feel like he's wasted out wide. It's like when Thierry, not complaining Rashford to Thierry Henry, but when Thierry Henry used to play as a winger at Monaco, then he went to Juventus and he played as a winger. When he came to Arsenal, Wenger transformed this game into a centre forward. Said, Henry, you play centre forward. I feel that they can get a manager that can say to Rashford, you know what, Rashford, you're wasted out wide. You're playing for the middle now.
He needs
his game will change.
He needs confidence.
It's confidence. Confidence is a big thing in football.
He needs confidence.
In sports, confidence is a massive thing. Not just football. In any sport you play, confidence is very important. I think Rashford, and I feel like United got some good young players in the academy coming through.
But not getting played.
And they're not getting played. So
not head to head. I mean, but then again, no offense. I know I've said he's past it, but if you've got Ronaldo in your team, he's going to start. He shouldn't be starting half as much as he should.
I personally
feel Cavani, but
no disrespect to I hope United fans don't feel upset with what I'm going to say. I feel that somebody needs to get rid of players like Ronaldo. I know he's a good player, but
they've got to prepare for the future.
I personally feel they need to prepare for the future now because Ronaldo is still a good player on his day, but if United want to start winning trophies and all that, I think they have to say to Ronaldo, you know what? Thank you for the season, but
Miami.
Let him go somewhere else.
Let him go to Inter Miami.
He's kind of players like
catch that check.
Well, hold on. He can't go to Inter Miami. He can't go to America. So that is
why can't he go to America?
We can't talk about that for legal reasons. For legal reasons,
there's an old case
for legal reasons.
Oh yeah.
But I was having a talk with one of my work colleagues actually the other day, and we were talking about this, the possibility of him going to Paris Saint-Germain. I'm disgusted at the idea. However, if you think about it from a purely marketing and commercial idea, Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar, 3 of the world player of the years in that have been ranked over the past 5 or 6 years together in one club.
Well,
the amount of shirts and games they will sell out.
I personally feel he'll replace Mbappe next season because Mbappe is definitely going to Real Madrid in the summer.
He did an interview the other day after the game, and his Spanish is it's really good.
I think he's going to. I think he's happening. He scored a good goal in Champions League the other day, Mbappe. So I think he's definitely going to Madrid. He's definitely going to Madrid in the summer.
Again, it's about the money, and it's sickening to think about it. But just so that we're able to talk about it and see it, even for one season, I think we'll do so many people.
Talking about Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I personally feel I think the reason why Mbappe wants to leave PSG and go to Real Madrid, not because of the money. I think he wants to go there because he he wants to win Balon d'Or. I don't think that PSG is going to win Balon d'Or.
He wants to be
the main man.
Also, he's a Real Madrid fan from childhood.
So I think he wants to. I think he wants to win a Balon d'Or. He wants to be the world's best, greatest player. For him to do that, he has to move on.
And Real Madrid need a shot in the arm.
Any players in France only decades ago, like in the olden days, have won Balon d'Ors playing football in France. Not in the 90s or 2000s as a player in France won the Balon d'Or. So I feel like he needs to go to Madrid, where if you go to Madrid or Barcelona, you're most likely you're going to win Balon d'Or. All the Brazilian Ronaldo won it, Zidane won it, Ronaldinho won it at Barcelona, Rivaldo won it, Ronaldo won it, Brazilian Ronaldo won it, so Cristiano Ronaldo won it at Madrid. So that's the pinnacle of your career. When you go to Barcelona and Madrid, that's the pinnacle of your footballing career.
That's where he's going next.
Well, I mean, if you want to go back far enough, the last player to win the Ballon d'Or from France was in 1991.
That was on Papin, yeah.
That's the last one.
That's what I mean. So
however, we've had a winner from Borussia Dortmund, Matthias Sammer in '96. So it's not, and then obviously the last winner outside of, the
Messi,
big two,
Ronaldo, Kaká,
was Kaká, at Milan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big thing to say. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if he wants to join that club, he needs to make that move.
Yeah,
and
he needs to make it now. Yeah,
this might be the right time to do it. Benzema's balling out, and for national team, they've got a nice chemistry together, and he can bring it to club level. Vinicius is balling out too. Hazard has found his legs again, so he's starting to get up to speed again. So it's a good time to join Madrid.
I personally feel that if Mbappe comes to Madrid, I think Hazard will go anyway. Bale's going in the summer, so I think Hazard might go as well.
I mean, Bale's irrelevant. He doesn't play much anyway. But Hazard, I mean, that'd be interesting. I mean, there's always talk that some Chelsea fans want him back. Would you have him back?
We need to move on from him. I mean, I'd love to, but I don't want to go down the whole nostalgic route. I think football nostalgia is a dangerous thing. I think we need to. We've moved since he's gone. We have won a Champions League and other trophies as well. I think we need to move on. We need to move forward.
And you did win the World Club Championship recently as well. That's another trophy to add to your list of trophies. How do you compare your team to Man City and Liverpool? Because they've had very dominant eras, dominant periods recently where they've been, the two teams to catch, two teams to beat. It does feel like between the three of you, you have your own little mini league. Man City clearly are a step above the two teams at the minute. How far do you feel you are from being able to go pound for pound with Man City? Because Liverpool, I think you can go pound to pound with them, but Man City is a bit different.
We can and we have. Last year we did. We showed that we can really match them. This year it hasn't worked. But the capability, I've seen it 3 times, which means we can do it again. I think we talked about this last week, and I talked about this before with Tuchel and how he's done great since he's come in, transforming the team from Lampard to where it is now, where we don't concede very, very much, and our midfield is absolutely stacked. But what's annoying, one of the always criticisms we had, and this happened indeed in the World Cup final, is that there's this level of goals that's just lacking. And even with the addition of Lukaku, it still hasn't really materialised. He did score in the semi-final and then the final, but you always know under him and the kind of players that he's had from Dortmund and even at PSG, there's another level where it's come to scoring goals.
What do you think's the hindrance? What do you think's preventing that from being a reality now at Chelsea?
Because I genuinely do believe that with a lot of players that we have had, I think this is where the whole nostalgia thing does play in, or going and looking to the past. Not saying it's a big, massive problem, but I think a lot of players do date back for many years, from like times like the Mourinho and with Conte, where they're more in the case, defensive, and they do want you to kind of work and track back if need be. And players like, as good as players like Kante are, where you bring him in for like brief moments, we're not playing him as much. So it's almost like we're trying to do a job that some of the players we have are trying to do a job that he is doing to kind of track back and defend so much. We went through a period where we weren't letting any goals in, and then that kind of stopped, that kind of Christmassy period. I want my forward players to stay there. We have the players to go ahead and put teams to the sword with all these goals. Your Lukaku's, Werner's, Havertz, Ziyech, Mount, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi.
Sort of.
But he can do it. He can
rate him there.
He can do it. He can do it. But I think Tuchel's trying something different with him. But
I haven't seen it enough from Hudson-Odoi. I've heard the hype, but I'll be honest with you. When I watch him, I just feel like,
He played his best on. The funny thing is, he played his best on the
Lampard.
Sorry,
or Lampard.
Sorry.
Then he had that serious injury.
He had a really
sorry. Yeah,
sorry where he's at his best because we were demanding he be played, and he got his England debut before his Chelsea debut.
But then he do his Achilles.
He got an injury, and he's not been really the same since. And the trouble
yeah.
is, for his position, he's got so much competition, and you know Chelsea are ruthless.
What about Loftus-Cheek? What do you think about him? Do you think it's a last
Is he
chance?
injured right now, or is he just not getting picked?
He's just. I think it was an injury. He's playing. It wasn't playing that long ago. Much longer ago. I think he played in the FA Cup. I think he did play in the FA Cup. Yeah. Loftus-Cheek again, another.
Oh yeah, he was injured. He just came out to training.
Good player, but again, there's players ahead of him. You know, as harsh as it sounds, because again, he did well under Sarri. He did really well under Sarri, but yeah, there's a hierarchy, and there are going to be players.
Well, do you think that now that you think it's time in the summer, you're going to say to players like them, like him and Hudson-Odoi, you know what? Thank you for your services. I think it's time for us to move on from them because
we'll get money. We'll get money for him.
Because I think you got players like Colin Gallagher. He has to be back in that
Gallagher.
team next season.
Gallagher's coming through.
Yeah.
A guy loan. I think he's on loan at Southampton. There's another one gone to
that Borussia guy.
Yeah,
He's
and then
a good
there's someone else because I think they're changing the whole loan thing now. So we can't just loan players out all willy nilly. We're gonna have to sell. Yeah, I mean we can match these teams. We can match the other two. We are there in our own kind of little capacity. So it does get quite annoying where this teams these are only two teams. We can and have been there, and by all measures with what we've got so far, we should be there. The season's not over, but mathematically it's not over. But really and truly, you don't see City slowing down. You really don't.
There's one thing I got to tell you, Matthew, that Chelsea are like points in the league. You're third in the league at the moment, but
third in the league.
Mathematically, Arsenal will catch up with you guys. If you win all our games, we could go above you guys.
I ain't worried about that.
You better be. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. We're coming for you.
Yeah, you're probably the only person who said that to me.
I think we could. If you win our games,
I think you can.
I think we could catch up. If we be at the bridge, we have to pay you at the bridge, and by that time, if we good like a couple points behind you, if we win all our 3 games in hand, we're only like 2 or 3 points. I think like if you don't win your games,
yeah,
we'll have a couple points.
Couple
points behind you.
All right, talking about Arsenal, this will be our last topic for discussion for today. So, there's been a lot of talk online about this whole Arsenal top 4 thing. And there's been a bit of a massive debate, I guess, between if Arsenal don't make top 4, will it be seen as a failure? I'm going to start with you, Matthew. I'll come to you, Craig, afterwards. What's your response to that? If Arsenal don't make top 4, would you say it's a failure?
Yes.
And why?
Because you've had 2 years where you finished 8. Yes, you got an FA Cup, but you also finished 8. This year, you spent the most money in the 3 years that he's been manager. 2.5 years he's been manager. I think this is the most money he's had. He's got some good players, and he's let go of some players. And a bold, but probably the right decision in letting go of your top scorer. I think in the end, it was the right decision because if they're going to back him, he has to make these kind of moves, regardless of the inexperience he has. It starts from somewhere. You're in a prime position. Like, I know your squad's thin, but again, you are in the position to do something with it. And like I said before, teams like United and especially Spurs, I think are falling off. I don't think they're mentally in the right place to kind of challenge. I think they've got their own in-house problems they need to sort. Conte's got to know how to motivate his players. Man United have got to sort out their backroom drama, and whatever's going on with them. And Wolves and Brighton, I think they're more for like Europa League. I think for Europa League, Conference League sort of thing. The only team you have ahead of you is West Ham. They can be caught. And like they have Europa League, and I think they've got FA Cup as well going for them, for West Ham. You've got nothing to lose. Just go hard. If ever time, just let off the shackles and just throw hell for leather. Bring in the youngsters. So get them. If you didn't loan anyone, bring in the youngsters. Maybe that is your plan. Just go for it. Whatever happens next year, if he's still there as manager, which I don't think he should, then you can do that. Just get in there and move on and building it. Because there's always a sense of when Arsenal, the impression I have with every time you do something really well, you don't build on it. So when you won the FA Cup, you didn't do nothing with it. Like, yeah, you got back into Europe. That would be a perfect catalyst to go ahead and win the final, get back in the Champions League. Everything's great. With this now, again, this is now every game you have, how many games left? It's cup finals. all these cup finals. So just there's no real excuse to not do something with this.
We got 16 more games left in the season. Starting off with Bournemouth at the weekend. So it is a big opportunity.
Brentford,
not Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think you can do him. You can do him. I think how many home games have you got out of the 16?
Oh, I don't know.
Your home games are your bread and butter. Your home games are make the Emirates for that brief period. How many other home games you have?
make a fortress.
Make it the most uncomfortable place to be. Treat it. You know what? Even though you're not in a relegation, treat it so. Make it hard. Play like you're. Who played like that recently? There was a game where it was a relegation game where I can't remember who it was, but they played out of their skins. Do that. Fight.
I think we did that against Wolves. We had siege mentality, managed to get
siege.
that result.
Do it again. Like I said, you've only got league to play for,
and we've got Wolves coming up again in soon too. So for you, Craig, what's your take on this? If Arsenal don't make the top 4, will the season be a failure?
100%. I agree with Matthew because we spent so much money on players. The owners backed the manager in the summer. They backed him in January to get rid of all deadwood players, and he got rid of Aubameyang. So if he doesn't get top 4 this season, as I said before, and I'll say it again, why? It has to be like that. You have to be ruthless because you can't be saying you won one trophy with us, and then you finished 8 2 seasons in a row. That's not good enough. We're Arsenal Football Club. We used to be invincible. We used to winning trophies. We used to be challenging the Champions League, not finishing 8th and whatever. I think that's acceptable. It's not acceptable. The amount of money we're paying for players on wages and players like Saka, only 2 years left on his contract. If we don't get Champions League this season, he's going to be gone. He'll get itchy feet. You got Odegaard as well, got last season. He's not going to want to be playing at Arsenal if not Champions League football. You got a lot of young players who want to play Champions League football. Smith Rowe. You got a lot of the young players who want to play Champions League football. Martinelli. So are you going to end up saying that? And Partey didn't come to Arsenal to be playing Europa League football. He came to play Champions League football. Obviously, if you get Champions League football this season, certain players like Jackal will have to be sold. Because
I'd sell him anyway.
Since he's been at Arsenal, there's only one season in the Champions League, but that was his first season. Ever since that, we haven't qualified Champions League since he's been there. That's a mad stat, but that's the truth. So I'll be ruthless and say, you know what? Thank you, Jack, for all your hard work. Time to move on. I'll ship out some, like Nketiah's going to be gone. Lacazette's going to be gone in the summer. So Arsenal will have to buy a striker in the summer. I know they're looking to put Martinelli through the middle. They've got Balogun on loan. He's doing very well at Middlesbrough. He did a wicked assist the other day. So I would say Martinelli, Balogun, and maybe get another striker in. Maybe 2 strikers and maybe one.
I think we need to buy 2 strikers.
If you get top 4, that makes you more desirable. So getting those players that maybe I'm not saying necessarily go spend all that kind of money on crazy money because you've proven the players you have are good enough and they're not, even though they're not main names, but they can attract players that are on that kind of ascendancy. So a good example I would say is a Calvert-Lewin. I can't see why you can't go for someone like a Calvert-Lewin as an example. He's young, he's English, and I think Everton.
Clive's not feeding him Calvert-Lewin.
But there's better ones out there.
I mean, it's an example, yeah.
It's an example.
I like the striker. I like the most the one who plays for Napoli. The Nigerian striker. I think he would do well at Arsenal.
Victor Osimhen.
I think he'll do well at Arsenal.
There you go.
Him.
It will cost us an arm and leg and some more.
But I would take him, and I'll take Martinez from Inter. I think he's a good striker. The
striker. Yeah.
I don't make you guys too good now.
We need to be good. Or even if Mourinho leaves Roma and Tammy Abraham wants to come back to the Premier League, I'll take him. I think he'll get goals in the Arsenal team.
It'll cost you money, man.
We've got money.
We've slapped a thing on him. You do know that.
But if you let them do a buyback clause in the summer and say someone bids for him, and then you have to match our bid, then
if Chelsea want to buy back Tammy, that's fine. You can buy him back. We'll take Broja.
Yeah, we'll take Broja. Broja's hard.
That's a great.
Broja?
Yeah.
On loan at Southampton.
Chelsea have their ways, mate. We're devious like that.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
You have Tammy. We'll take Broja. Call it a nice day. That's a nice little deal for me.
How about we have Tammy and Broja?
No, you can't have both.
With Chelsea, we make our own rules.
No, you can't.
We make our own rules.
No, you can make your own rules. But Broja's not going to sit on Broja's not going to sit in the bench next season. He wants to play football in it, and Arsenal, you get minutes in it. So
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll cross that bridge.
You'd have to sell Lukaku or Werner to accommodate them 2 strikers. So are you going to do that?
That wasn't part of my plan.
Well, you can't have four
That's not
strikers.
part of a Chelsea plan.
You can't have 4 unhappy strikers. The only 2 can play, or 1 can play in your system.
Chelsea just keeps on feeding, mate. It's like that keep feeding of chi. More. We're very greedy. You do know that.
Yeah.
I know you're greedy, but
It works though.
Nah.
Hey, listen, we'll cross that bridge in May.
Cool.
We will cross that bridge.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting regardless what you guys do because, you know.
We can't loan out players. Like I said, we can't. The whole loan thing is coming in, so we can't just loan out thousands of players. Like we don't care. So we've got something to think about.
Well, on that note,
It's a wrap.
we shall see. We'll see who ends up being in the club. 50 Cent did a great job at Super Bowl. Shout out to him, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige.
And Kendrick.
And Kendrick
Anderson
Lamar.
Paak.
And Anderson Paak. My guy. Anderson Paak playing away. You know, next year, him, Bruno Mars, I'm saying.
Ooh,
Him and Bruno Mars should just do a little
I'd
thing.
fly there myself.
And they can have him, Bruno Mars, Adele. Figure it out. Just figure it out.
That's levels.
That is money right there.
And you know, and maybe have Janet Jackson for like a surprise little.
Now we're talking.
But anyway, that's just he putting it out there. If that does happen next year, I want my 5 or 10% finder's fee and discovery fee. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, do rate it, leave us 5-star comment, let us know what you think about it, and let us know your thoughts. Do you feel like Mbappe will win the Balon d'Or now that he's from leaving Paris Saint-Germain? And who do you think is Man United's worst signing this season? Thanks all for listening. I've been Clive as usual. Got Matthew and Craig as usual.
Peace.
Have a good rest of the day. Bye.
So what's up?